Uh, I didn't see this movie before I chose it, and I don't think I'm going to do that again because
Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 78 of What the Flicks podcast. I'm Susan Ayers.
I'm Lon Shima.
I'm
Jorge
Patty
Sanchez.
Smith.
Oh, yeah, of course. Oh, Jorge Sanchez.
Okay. So I hope everyone is doing well, and I'm looking forward to discussing some of the movies. A lot of them are in the Oscars, so that will be great. So our movies this week are A Real Pain, Emilia Perez, Mumford and Nora, and Wallace and Gromit, Vengeance Most Foul. Okay, so our first movie is Patty, eh?
Yep. My movie is A Real Pain. It's with Jesse Eisenberg and Kieran Culkin. I didn't see this movie before I chose it, and I don't think I'm going to do that again because they're never what I think they're going to be. I would say a comedy drama. I don't really know how to put this in a category. It's about two mismatched cousins who decide they're going to Poland to honor their grandmother, but I never know why. And it's their first,
I'm laughing because you never know why.
and it's their personalities that carry the movie. Jesse Eisenberg is very quiet, reserved, very conservative type, whereas Kieran Culkin is totally all over the place, hyper, loud. They're just really opposite. And I thought this was going to be a comedy, but no. It's got funny parts in it, but they're not ha 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 parts. They're not those kind of parts. So I had to look up what this movie was about because I didn't get it. I thought they could have gone one or two ways. One of the sayings was this was to do with, which I thought was way off the wall, how family pain travels through the families.
Interesting.
And I thought that was a jump into hell. Or it could have been a comedy, and they should have gone with the comedy. So I didn't think that highly of it. Though the conversations between the two men is so smooth and easily listen. You can listen to it really easy, and it sounds like real conversations.
Yeah, it seems like they were true cousins, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. George?
Yes?
He stepped away. He's coming back.
Am I next?
Yes.
Okay. I just went to grab a pen, and I realized I have stuff on my teeth. Oh, yeah, wait. Yeah, so this movie, I thought it was, it was interesting. It was a little bit depressing. But the one thing about it is that, one thing is, I'll say one thing I like and what they didn't like. I like that they had a character which was Kurt. It was Ilaji?
Ijiawan?
Ilaji or something?
Yeah.
The actor,
yeah,
Kurt Ijiawan.
Yeah.
And he's a survivor of a Rwandan genocide. I like that because he showed that this happens all over the world, and he showed how he converted to Judaism because they've experienced the same thing. So they had that connection. I thought it was just showing the world to me that it happens everywhere. These genocides
And at all times. Yeah.
yes. So that was a good point that he made. It was actually. I did find it entertaining, just the scenery, the place I went to. But what I found was that Kieran Culkin's character, I just wanted to slap him in the face. He annoyed me throughout the whole movie. I was like, oh my God, somebody smack this guy. And then the Jesse Eisenberg, the David character, he was pissing me off because he was just being stepped on the whole time, like letting this guy step on him. Dude, just punch this guy and tell him to shut up. And of course, later you understand why he's such an asshole, why he behaves the way he does. But so it makes it more difficult. But so I would say Yeah, it was an interesting story. Actually, I had no idea Jennifer Grey was in this movie.
Yeah,
Yes.
Wait, that's
I
Dirty Dancing Jennifer
know.
That
Grey.
was a
I saw her.
surprise.
Only until I saw like, the credit when I was researching it, I was like, oh, that's Jennifer Grey. So I would say I liked it and I didn't like it at the same time.
Okay, Jesse Eisenberg to me has been a real interesting career to watch because I'm not sure what his first movie was. I remember him.
Facebook?
I think it was The Squid and the Whale,
Oh.
where he played the son, but
The
I'm
son,
not sure
yeah.
if that's his first one or not. But he's an actor who sort of got on my nerves for a long time. And then I just said, oh, wait a minute. This guy is a serious artist. He really loves movies. He's doing something about movies. Now, the two of them together was a different thing, not a different thing. It was a whole other level to it because one of my favorite movies of all time is a movie called The Mighty, which stars, among others,
Sure.
Oh, that was
Kieran Culkin.
Yeah.
Kieran Culkin as a disabled kid. And he's amazing. He is amazing in that movie. And Jesse Eisenberg, I'm going to be talking about another Jesse Eisenberg movie later, so I'm not going to get into Jesse Eisenberg yet. But Kieran Culkin, just to see Kieran Culkin and to see how he has grown as an actor is just, it's like, to me, that's one of the reasons I go to movies. I loved it. I loved this movie. And yeah, and like you say, Jennifer Grey, once she came in, I said, oh, come on, let me see some more of the movie star there. Because the other guys were so real. It's as simple as that. Culkin, we haven't seen that much and stuff. Jesse Eisenberg seems to be in about every second or third movie. But he's doing that because he changes. I mean, Jesse Eisenberg is a guy who I never know what he's going to do in a movie. And the two main things I've seen Kieran Culkin in, I can put a label on him, although I think he's way too good to be stuck in a niche of one label. So I've got the hiccups for some reason, but maybe they just want to say, get on to Susie, because this is a wonderful movie. I love this movie.
I was going to make one last point. Actually, I think Jesse Eisenberg rewrote this, right?
Right.
I think he's really good.
And he directed it.
I think he's. I think he's.
What?
He wrote it,
and
directed it,
the movie.
and acted in it.
Yeah.
I think
Jesse Eisenberg, yeah.
I think he's headed in the way of Woody Allen, because he's kind of has that sense of humor.
You know what?
Really
You're
sharp.
right.
Mhm.
He's a really good writer. But
And that's where his career changes, when he did the Woody Allen movie.
Yeah.
Because he was the first one who didn't, or it was Jason Biggs first, who didn't become Woody Allen in the movie.
Yeah, so I think that's his trajectory. He's going to be one of those directors that write those kind of movies. Anyways, yeah.
Okay, I'm exactly the opposite. I hated this film, right? Both characters were so unlikable, but Benji Kaplan, Kieran Culkin, really won. Culkin. Sorry. Kieran Culkin. Sounds like Irish, right? Really,
Well, Carrie Culkin sounds like Irish, but Kieran Culkin.
really,
Oh, I think it is
he
Kieran.
really wins hands down as one of the, first of all, he's just a fucking cokehead. That's what he is. He's a cokehead, and he's there to ruin everybody's thing. That's what he's there for. And he is ruining my thing. You can talk after I finish.
You're talking about the character, though, right?
Oh, yeah. Stop doing coke, and you'll probably be much duller, but you'll at least be bearable. Right? Jesse Eisenberg was less infuriating, but couldn't let himself not be the victim of his cousin. This is the actual plot of the story. I'm not putting down the actors. The characters were like, I couldn't stand either one of them. Benji Kaplan, was ruthless, and I found his meanness hard to watch. And all this was going on behind the backdrop of Auschwitz. Weirder. Anyways,
Showing the different kinds of cruelty.
I call him an overindulged brat, because everybody's like just always trying to pacify him all the time, because I don't know, somebody died or somebody did there was something, right? And everything he does, he makes the experience about him. and he's just not that interesting. So the music was great. The backtrack of this thing was great. So my thing is, but why am I watching a self-indulgent cokehead steal the thunder from people who really were victims and really were victimized? You're next.
Well, I was sort of in the middle of you guys because when I started watching the movie, I thought, oh, okay. Like Patty had said, the chemistry between the two actors is really well done. I mean, I really buy
Yeah,
them as
that's
not
true.
only just
Yeah.
friends, but cousins who knew each other. I mean, that was sort of surprised me because you're right. There's such two different characters. But I will say this, I could not only, I was not only put off by both characters, but I can also identify with both characters because the Benji character, he is carrying a lot of pain in him, and it's obvious. But the question is, what does the pain stem from and all that? They don't really go into that, in my opinion. But it's very obvious that at times he does trample on other people's fun.
At
right?
times.
At times, but other
Excuse me.
times he encourages people to have fun. There's a great scene where he encourages everyone to stand in front of the statue and pose with the statue. I thought, see, that's the charisma of the character that Jesse Eisenberg's character even says, oh yeah, when he's nice and everybody just loves him, then all of a sudden he turns. And Jesse Eisenberg is the same thing. He's sort of infuriating because he even sees that in his cousin, but he just puts up with it. He does nothing to try and confront it or deal with it or even have Benji confront it. So that's but I said, I understand that because, he can't control his cousin's life. And I think the most important part is they were really close. Like I said, they're almost like brothers. That's how they see each other. So when they grew up together, they were always close. But now, one has a life with a family and a job. The other one, basically
Is a cokehead.
well, no, he's actually the opposite. He's smoking pot. Remember?
Oh, he was doing coke too.
Well, but he was smoking pot. Remember, that was the whole thing throughout the thing. In fact, what surprised me though is when you find out that Benji character, Kieran Culkin's character, was the favorite of the grandmother, and I thought, now that's sort of odd. I wonder why. Because you figure Jesse Eisenberg, he's the one who's going to continue the family line, right? Get married, have the kids, has a good job. And you just want, and I was and he was just really close. And even just Jesse Eisenberg realized that. And then because they're doing this tribute to their grandmother, both of them are there because the grandmother passed away and they said, we're going to go to Poland and we're actually going to go visit the place where she once lived, but it is sort of, you're right, that half the time it's like, oh God, these people are driving me nuts. I don't want to be around them. And other times I'm touched by what they're capable of, which I think is actually just many people. It's very human of what you're seeing on screen. So I will give it to Jesse Eisenberg that as a writer and director and actor in this film, great job. He did a very good job.
He did a great job.
Only because, like I said, if those characters are driving you nuts, I think he wrote it that way. Because it's actually very upsetting. In fact, when you watch to the ending, I'm more curious about how you feel when you do look at their lives, when they go sort of their separate ways or at the airport, right? Because they first meet at the airport, and right when they meet, exactly the two characters. Why? I mean, literally, they have those two actors have set up the characters so well just in the first 5 minutes they're on the screen. And the same thing when they come back from their trip and they say goodbyes, I thought they're still showing what both those characters are like.
But in the backdrop of Auschwitz, where people really suffered, where people really experienced it, and this guy is like, it's kind of like almost gross. It's like, I think you can handle it.
Point.
But I think that's what they bring up a lot. Actually, that's why his behavior is so erratic because he talks about being on a train and being in the wrong class on the train.
Which he
stuff
was
like that.
totally fine on the way back when they were in first class.
Well, no,
With
it was
him and the
okay
guy.
when they didn't have a ticket.
Right.
See, that's what I'm saying. There's something that he sort of is a weird person who just like defies convention somehow. But like you said, unfortunately, it does, in my opinion, it impedes on other people's happiness or their thing.
If-
There's another great scene where they're having dinner. And then that's when you find out more about those characters. I thought, see, at least they're really trying to flesh out these characters. And again, that's what I think Jesse Eisenberg did a great job writing.
Yeah.
They
this
could have
movie.
called it the masochist and the sadist.
In a way, very much so, because I think
It
that's
was
what
hard
it is.
to watch. I thought it was
Because,
hard to
but what I
watch.
like is the title. Because in my opinion, who's the real pain in this? Seriously, who
Well,
is?
I have
And
no
what
problem
kind
with
of
that.
Because I
Okay.
thought both of them were. See, that's what I'm saying. I could find both of them being a
Oh
pain.
no,
in a way.
I
Yeah.
didn't find one less. I found one less
Unlikable.
one less annoying than
Oh,
the
okay.
other.
It's,
Oh,
clever,
okay,
it's a clever
okay.
title. 'cause
One less bell to answer.
Yeah, a clever
I love
title
that
because
song.
a real pain about
Great
what the
song.
society has gone, and a real
Right.
pain because he's a real pain in the ass. too.
No, and see exactly because what is the real pain? Obviously, the real pain is, like you said, is when they go to see Auschwitz. And
I think
again,
it's a double
another thing,
entendre.
another
Yeah.
thing I too like too is at the dinner sequence where everyone talks about their pain in a way or
Yeah.
why they're there,
Right.
and it's all has to do with their relatives and this, and it's so nice to hear the stories that they're telling, right? Including about when Jesse Eisenberg tells them about the grandmother, when they
Mhm.
talk about the grandmother. So
Lon,
Yeah.
do you think they could have gone or should have gone more into each person's pain to give a bigger picture of what's going on?
I think they could have, and it might have been a better film. But the thing is, I thought the movie was too long as is.
Yeah, it was.
I thought it should have been a little shorter. And what they showed, like I said, let the people decide. Because I think that's why you're getting so various views. How you hated the movie, you loved the movie. I'm sort of in between, but that's what I mean. I think that's the whole point of that movie, because it is sort of that. It's just an experience of life, and that how everybody sees it.
And how,
Yeah.
and how you experience other people. And I have experienced both of those people in my life. And this to me was a movie about helping me understand. I like this about this guy. I don't like this. I like this about this guy. I don't like that.
Mhm.
But I love them both.
Well, see,
Yes.
but the one guy, the Culkin,
Yeah.
his character is he's not him. He's a person that does a lot of drugs. So if you've ever dealt with
Mhm.
druggies a lot, you
Well, it's
really
kind of like if you work at a bar, you experience those.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I recognize a cokehead when I see one, and that isn't a pothead. They don't act like that. Cokeheads act like that.
Oh
Well,
well,
yeah,
I don't think that's his problem. I think I don't want to reveal too much, but he obviously has psychological problems, and it's not due to drugs, in my opinion.
Oh,
Right, right.
Well,
Yeah.
the drugs.
Absolutely.
The drugs.
Oh,
and
magnify.
They go together. He acts.
Mhm.
Druggies aren't that different. Heroin addicts act a certain way. Potheads act a certain way.
Mhm.
Cokeheads act a certain way. Meth heads act a certain way, right? He acts like a cokehead, maybe a meth
It's
head.
kind of like tequila drinkers and Jack Daniel drinkers are different.
And it's like just people you can't trust.
Well, having said
So
that, we should-
I just didn't understand why they were doing it under the backdrop of Auschwitz.
Oh.
It would be more explainable if he had been in Auschwitz, which he wasn't, right? So
Oh
it's
no,
kind of
I
like-
think that's what I say. That's part of the point. in
well,
my
that's
opinion.
the
Yeah.
point Jesse Eisenberg makes that my family went through this crap and Auschwitz for this moron to come out of that. That's
Exactly.
basically,
Right. Exactly.
Exactly.
Yes. Exactly.
So
So-
I had I have no problem with the actors. I thought the actors were both
Mm.
great, although I do think Jesse
Eisenberg.
Eisenberg, he always plays the same person. He's
Yes,
always the same
sort of
person.
like
Kind of
neurotic.
like Kevin Costner.
Well,
Kevin
he's
Kid lately.
perfecting it, I've got to
Yeah.
say.
Well, I'm watching different movies, and I was like, oh, Facebook guy.
So we should rate it because we have a lot of
Yeah.
movies.
Yeah.
Also,
So-
me.
Right.
So
Oh, it's me?
didn't you already do it?
I haven't
No.
rated it. But we're rating now.
Right.
Oh yeah,
We got lots of movies.
yes.
Actually, it is. I can see what the movie's nominated too, though, even though that don't me at times. So I would say I give it an 8.
Oh,
Hello.
that's right. I don't see why it's nominated. I'll give it. I'll go to a 5 for that.
Hmm.
I have nothing against the actors. It's just the basic movie. It's like is kind of like I find it's an insult. It's not. It's insult to the people in Auschwitz.
But I think it's maybe making that point. Anyways,
What's the point?
that's an insult.
What's the point?
Then we're agreeing to disagree that you're wrong.
Well, I gave it a 5 because I thought for 90 minutes it was pretty dense with information and dialogue and stuff. So thankfully it was 90 minutes. I give it that.
It says that.
What'd
It's
you
actually
rate it,
under
Patty?
90
What do you give it,
minutes.
Patty?
Patty. Shh. Did the dogs bark?
Maybe. I guess we'll be back in.
We'll be back.
We'll be back.
Make sure you comment and subscribe and
Is it
like
thumbs up,
us.
please.
And